God. No, one person so far. Fantastic. I might drop one of the lights. Oh, dear man, it's bright. Hmm. Just see how many people turn up. You never know. 6 o'clock in the evening. It's a warm day, probably still out there detecting. No, it's a few more people have turned up for fun. Oh, dear me. 9, 7, it's all over the place. I want to talk about the battery issues in 6000, if anyone's interested. Ah, Darren, g'day. Ah, yeah, we're going to have some waffle. David, g'day. How are you? Just see who pops up. You never know. Never know. I just finished doing a video I'm going to upload on Chinese detectors. So it's actually uploading right now. But yeah, I found some really good detectors that'll work on our gold field. You can get them for 14 US dollars. It's very cheap. So yeah, I went over it. I went over some long range locator wallet miners. Yeah, prospecting and that, which means prospecting and that. Yeah, g'day. Yeah. Anyway, there's 9 people here. Wow. 12 people here. Wow, it's getting bigger. Um, but yeah, with these live, I just put Google Chrome on this Mac so I could actually do live. I didn't realise you couldn't do it unless you ran Google Chrome. So yeah, I'll put that on the Mac now. So what I was actually going to go on about, a lot of people been saying that the batteries in the GPX-6000 are failing and they don't last. They don't last very long. And I have found this firsthand. I've had people drop their detectors in for me to check and find out why the thing just lasts 10 minutes and drops off. So what I thought is that I would pull the battery apart and, well, it's very easy. It's just 4 screws in the bottom and it falls apart. And you didn't have to pull the other parts, the top bit apart where it's got the contacts. But to actually measure the cells and the circuitry, you can't undo anything because if you do, it senses that as a fault and the battery won't work. So you got to actually get in between the cells, hook up your equipment. I hooked up an amp meter and I hooked up a voltmeter and I hooked up this so I could measure the battery on the 6000 whilst it was in operation. And this is very interesting what I found, that the detector draws about 730 milliamps of current. So it's under an amp, it's not very much. And the voltage on the battery pack itself, on the actual battery cells, was 8.2 volts or thereabouts, very, very, very close to 8.2 volts. But I was watching the battery voltage on the detector, and even though the battery pack itself, the cells were saying 8.2 volts, I watched it and it went like from 8 volts, then it went to basically under 8 volts, it was in the 7s, and then it went down to the 6s, and then the detector turned off. And I went, what? and I'm looking at the voltage on the battery cells, and they're still 8.2 volts. So I'm thinking to myself, what's going on here? Now, people tell me that they were buying new battery packs because of this. And obviously, it's not the battery packs, it's not the battery cells that are dying, it's the control board. So the control board on it is very, very small but very complex. It has a lot of little components on it that look like dried out dead ants with six legs and whatever else on it. I don't know what these parts are. There's no part numbers on them. They're probably little op amps or something, but without the schematic, you don't know. So, um, as far as I can tell, it has a voltage buck and boost regulator on it, so you can put 5 volts to something else in it, 5 to 18 maybe, and it regulates to 8 volts. And yeah, it has two cells connected in series and a center tap for battery monitoring between each two battery. Um, Crazy thing. Allow Google Chrome to find devices on your local network. Go for it. I don't care. Yeah, things pop up. I just put Chrome on this, so we'll see if it behaves itself. So with these batteries, I've talked to a fellow. It's happening on his detector. He thought it was the detector. It's not. It's actually in the control board in the battery, and he's out looking, obviously searching the internet, trying to find a replacement control board. Now I've done the same. I went looking for a replacement control board that'll do something which you can put in there that will look after the batteries, charge it, and do everything you want. They don't exist. I found separate charging systems, separate battery monitoring systems, like you short the batteries out and it doesn't explode. It limits the current. But as a one board in there, it um, someone says, is there a way to stop a 6000 from detecting shallow lead shot? Tony's there. Good day, Tony. Put a bigger coil on it. I don't know. That's a problem. Yes, you can, but you either put a bigger coil on the detector. That will definitely, uh, you know, reduce some response. But as you go over the lead shot goes under the coil winding directly. It's going to go ping, and it's going to go ping on the other side too. So how do you get rid of that? Put a big thick skid plate on it or something. But then you're probably going to miss gold. There is another way of doing it, but you've got to get into the detector and you basically got to dumb it down, right? And probably not a thing you really want to do. Yeah. Mr. PK Gold and opal hunting, me here now. Ha ha. Yes, you are there because otherwise you wouldn't have messaged me. Yeah, good stuff. But yeah, these 6000 batteries. I was having a look on all the forums, and people were having issues with 6000 batteries going dead. So if it does go dead, or you don't get your life out of the battery, be suspect of the actual battery monitoring charging board inside the battery. So that's what it could be. What I would do, and I don't want you to do it, is do something like, no, don't. I'm not going to say it because I know it'll happen. I'll say it, someone will do it, and there'll be a battery fault, and the detector will catch on fire, and I'll get the blame for it. So there are ways around it, but as a hypothetical, you could always go direct connect, and you could use probably run a regulated charger to the battery, but you'd probably want to install a couple of battery monitoring boards, the small ones. You get them for about 60 cents or $1 on AliExpress, and you protect each cell. So if you short anything out, it's not going to do any damage. But then you've got to be careful with your charging. You've got to use a regulated charger, and might get a bit curly for some people doing that. But I don't know if you can buy charger boards. I just don't know if they exist. If you can buy them as a spare part. Uh, yeah, prospecting Vic. My friend had issues with his batteries on a 6000 too. He said he sprayed something around the battery terminals and it has given him a few more hours. Yes, the little gold circles, I've noticed this on the batteries. It's meant to make a clean connection, and then you turn, well, there's no current, then you turn the detector on and current flows. And because it's not going like spark, spark, they should last forever. But I have noticed on the batteries, they're black. They get little pits in them. So when you hook the battery up to the detector, obviously it's more than likely that inside the detector, the filter capacitors on the power rail are discharged, and you get inrush current from the battery going in to charge the capacitors up, and it goes spark, spark, pit, 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 and that will cause a high resistance here. And if you clean it too much, you'll take away the gold flash, and you'll get oxides, and you'll go backwards at 100 mile an hour. So how you clean that, I don't know. You've got to keep the plating on it, and yeah, it's difficult because there's some issue there. Because otherwise, why are they pitting on those silver? Or sorry, gold contacts? Yeah. So yeah, got a few more things here. Make a dongle to run your batteries on the 6000. Yeah, yeah. I can't remember what he sprayed it with. What can you spray it with? Um, CO contact cleaner is a good thing. Isopropyl alcohol is safe. Uh, Acetone will melt your plastic. I'll tell you what I have got, and I'll show you. I'll get it because it does clean up contacts really well, and it's inert. It doesn't affect plastic. And bear with me. There, this stuff. That name on the top is, I think, the UK company that make this. Uh, and yeah, it's made in Bridgewater. Oh no, it's not. Hang on. When I saw Bridgewater, Somerset, I'm thinking UK. It's not. Guess where it's made? Oh no, it is. It is. Sorry, it's crazy. Oh, sorry. It says TA6. I thought it said Tas for Tasmania. Yeah, TA6 400 UK. There you go. Yeah. So yeah, that stuff there is really good on battery contacts. Won't hurt anything. Like even the contacts on these little wireless microphone things, you could get these and get that and put it on, shake it off. Won't hurt it. It's nice and wet with this stuff. Doesn't evaporate really quick, but stick it back in the box. Oh, yeah, straight away, lights up red, it's charging. There's no problem with that, but I just did that as a way of showing that this stuff is a really good contact cleaner or battery contact cleaner or whatever you want to do with it. So yeah, I just finished making a what's this? Have no trouble with the old 4500 with your battery. Oh yeah. The batteries we do for the 4500s. I should actually, doing a live video like this. I very rarely ever do them. Maybe it's a good thing to sell stuff. I don't know. Yeah, because yeah. I just finished having a really good. I made a mix of vodka and Coke. Not the best. I didn't have any orange, so I made vodka and Coke. So yeah, maybe the conversation will go pear shaped. I don't think so. Um, but yeah, the batteries we do for the other detectors, I've got them covered in Velcro. So how about we do a show and tell? Um, Yeah, that's one we do for GPXs. But we get these. I've got Velcro and a bit of white fluff stuck there at the moment. It's been sitting on my bench. And I just Velcro these to the side of the detector on the 45s. And high quality, that's a high quality Japanese audio connector. We're using really, really high quality ones. You can't get them anymore. So we've gone to these things, whatever brand they are. David organised those. They're really good. Uh, Connector and yeah, chargers and that. Stick them on. They're all on our website anyway. I think everyone knows what the website's called, detectormods.com. And got those for GPs, SDs, GPXs, and I've got some more stuff coming out, but I can't mention it. You don't mention anything unless you're ready to roll with it, because everyone will cut your lunch. And that what that basically means is that they'll gear up on it first and try and get it out to the marketplace to yeah um, take your income away. So that's why I say cutting your lunch. You don't get as much to eat. So that's just funny. Oh dear me, what else we got here? Yep, prickly prospector. Prickly. I could say something, but no, I won't. Yeah, Sunday arvo on a long weekend. Yeah, fair's fair. Of course it is. Yes, 10 cent. Woody, can you turn a real cheap detector into a gold, a good one, a cheap one into a good one. Uh, Let me think. Define cheap detector. Uh, what do you mean cheap? Like one that's $18 from you know over in China, or something a bit better? I don't know. I think there's also a limit on the time when the comments can come through on this too. I think I don't know how to set this up, so I just went click, 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 yeah, 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 bang, and it might be a lag between comments. Um, oh, there we go. It's a bit quicker. Around $400 to $500. Um, dear me, $400 to $500. You might have to spend a little bit more, but if I was looking for a detector specifically for gold, and you don't want to spend too much, and you want something that's going to perform, find yourself a GP Extreme, and you might be a little bit higher in price. But I bought one. I bought a GP Extreme for $800, um, which I thought was all right at the time. So uh, they do it really well. They're a damn good detector. Uh, oh, there was a fellow. I won't mention names, but there was a fellow who did a lot of videos for MineLab. Lots and lots of videos, and this would have been about the time the 4500 was out and about. And we were talking about the best detector that MineLab had ever made, which one went the deepest. And and with doing things to the old SD2000, I don't think it'll go damn deep. You can really get some good depth out of that detector and do a lot of things with it. But as a standard detector that you can pick up, which has got more functionality and is a bit more refined, the GP Extreme is probably the deepest going detector out there. You'll go, what? But it actually is. GP Extreme. It's the way that detector is a little bit like, it's a little bit like a wild horse. It's a bit of a bucking bronco type thing. Its filtering is not as refined as some of the later detectors, and that makes it a little bit more sensitive. It's a little bit noisier, but my God, that thing will go deep. That type of detector has a lot of reach. The thing you do have to do with an old GP Extreme, some of them came out with, I think, BSP 129 transistors in the front end, which are big, lumpy, bumpy, high capacitance things that are not the best. Flick them out of circuit and put in some 2SK 1334s or whatever, if you can get them, and that really makes the detector come alive. Um, Also, on the feedback resistors, they I think they got 68 picofarads across them. Change them to 33, and you'll get a really good detector. It will ping on tiny stuff and it'll go deep. So yeah. So how does the Extreme compare to the SD? Well, more functionality, more refinements. There's a lot more to do to the older detectors to get them to go really deep. A lot more fiddling. You don't have the easy access to it and the control as such. If you want to put variable frequency in it, it's a fairly big job. Where modern detectors, it's straightforward. Because I've done thousands of them probably over the years. You got to remember, I was doing this back in. I've been detecting since 1980 on the knocker. Yeah, um, 1980. That's a long time ago. Looking for gold up in Denali with about 2,000 other people all around you, all with little, yeah, um, Garrett green boxes and white blue boxes, and I was the odd one out. I had a Bounty Hunter 840 or something. I can't remember what it was. But there's me running around with a Bounty Hunter, and everyone else had these Garretts and A2Bs, and basically, I think a lot of the white stuff that I use was coin detectors. But yeah, it's funny days. I could write a book on some of the early stuff. It's absolutely amazing. Some of the people I've met and been out with, and some of the weird things they do. It really is interesting. Yeah, some more questions. Yeah, so Extreme's probably a bit better as you know, it's more of a Maserati than a milk cart, if you know what I mean. That's what I'll say. Um, DIY DIY projects with Chucks. Hey Woody, how do I make a coil for my six for myself only? Have built. Oh, you got the dongle. Okay. Well, I can tell you a few things about the six coil. The inductance is roughly exactly the same, 300 microhenries. And what they have done is they've got more current into the coil to making there's more strands of Litz wire. Standard detectors, what I found over the years, were they started off at 72 strands of 0.012, and I think the I've got it written down somewhere. I have to go through my notes because would you believe I tediously counted out the strands? Um, but yeah, it was. I think it was closer on point two, and there was more of them. So I think that if you look at it factually, uh, normal detector, you're looking at basically copper conduction strand wise of 1 square millimeter. These could be on the 6000, 1.2, 1.5, something like that. I'd have to go calculate it out. But the 6000, I ran it on a standard Mindlab coil, just an 11-inch mono, worked fine, no problem, didn't care less. But that was with the dongle, with ripping the dongle out that other coil. But I don't know if you picked up on the other video, I've got a way of not pulling the dongle out of the coil. You don't need to rip the coils apart to pull the dongle out. And I've got a way that you can actually hook any coil up to the 6000 just with a bit of an adaptation. So I'm still waiting on some parts to come, but yeah, um, I'm working hard on getting around these stupid dongle things because it's crazy. Because I asked the Chinese with that detector, they're bringing out that GDX 9800, which they probably didn't want me to plaster everywhere, but I didn't know that. It was lost in translation. And I asked them specifically, does that coil have a dongle? They said, no, it doesn't, but it does have a, they basically said it's not exactly the same as a normal coil, but it's not dongled. And that to me means, the gate's open to go make your own calls for it. So that should be easy. Oh, I've got some more, lots of messages. Hang on. Yeah, the chips in the head of the 6. I found one bad already. Yes, you c I don't know if the chips go bad, that if you read up on that actual, IC, it has anti-tamper, where it's a lot of physical, attributes to the individual design of that chip, is it's part of the way it's programmed. So it looks at its, voltage drop on junctions, and maybe it even looks at resistance and stray capacitance inside the chip, and it calculates that into its algorithm for talking to the CPU and the detector. That that's really out there. That's yeah, that's Area 51 stuff doing that. But so maybe just give it a reflow with a hot air gun or something to put flux on it, and maybe a connector's not touching or something. Um, yeah, there you go. Um, so yeah, they are bad. Well, I heard about chips failing. Yes. Did I find? Yes, I did find gold around Beaufort. Out at Chute, I went to Chute with some clubs. I've been out there many a time around there, and one of my early uh, videos is out at Chute where we're just counting out the nuggets. I think I was using modified extreme actually, or 3500, and me and myself have another drink. Um, David and myself were out detecting, and we went with a club, and mm, I don't like clubs. And I got into a really good patch of gold. They all went that way, and I went that way, and they all went that way. They all come back to where I was because they could hear the detector beeping as I was picking up nuggets. And if you have a look at it, I think it's this is years ago, but it's something about Chute or Beaufort. It's one of the early videos, and I think on the front of it might have a green plastic picnic type table, barbecue table, with gold nuggets on it or something. So it's there. I've been all over the place. I've spent many weeks over at Wedderburn and Denali. Denali used to be like second home on the weekends. I was always up at Denali. Um, Lots of areas, Tarnagalla. They're all weird names. People going, oh, what name's that? They're all Aboriginal names. They're all named after Aboriginal stuff. Even here, Ballarat means grass on a hill or something. I think whatever. It's funny. It's actually a dip in the ground, but oh whatever. Um, you know this sort of stuff. I don't know. Not too into it, but yeah, very interesting. Anyway, there's tons of damn things coming through. Hang on, slow down, guys. Uh, did you find? Yeah, I did find. I found lots of gold around Beaufort. Uh, would you have been quite a scene detecting in the 80s? I'll tell you what, detecting in the 1980s on any of the gold fields was like going to a nightclub, except everyone was holding detectors. It was really ridiculous. You just look around you and you could easily spot 20, 30, 40 people all running around with detectors at that time. It was quite absolute nuts. And you got to remember too, even though there's that many people, they're just getting rid of the surface trash for you because none of those detectors went deep. They'd be lucky to go down that deep. And all the big golds, like there's still a lot of detectors out there, but there's nowhere near like what there was. You go out to the gold fields now, even at today's a long weekend because of some horse race, something or other, which I don't pay any attention to. What is it, Melbourne Cup or something? Um, yeah, so we made it into a long weekend. I guarantee you the goldfields have got people everywhere, but I bet you can go in the middle of Denali where I was and you look around, you won't see anyone. So it's not hammered with these pulse induction detectors that go deep. There's still a lot of big gold out there. I see a lot of big gold from my customers, and a lot of them say, "Well, here, please don't show this and don't say anything about it." And some say, "Here, you can show them." They don't care, but a lot of people do care. Um, and I've had. I remember. I'm pretty sure I can mention this. Um, yeah. a fellow that used to work at Coil Tech years ago, he rang me up. He used to live in Deer Park, if anyone wants to work out who it is. He rang me up. He goes, "Hey," he goes, "do you want to buy some gold?" And I went, "What do you mean?" He goes, "You want to see what's on my lounge room table?" He goes, "It's actually bowing under the weight." I went, "What?" And he goes, "Yeah, I got two guys here. They've found a heap of gold, big slabs of gold from an indicator line. Um, uh, where'd it come from? I'm trying to remember. God, it's a place I've never been to. It's near Yandeut, we're down that way somewhere, but it's not there. It's a place with a German name. Um, can't remember the name of it. Anyway, it's not far from here. It's probably an hour's drive or something down south. And he told me the table was bowing. So, yeah, there's a story written up in the Gold, Gem and Treasure. This is quite a few years ago. That the two fellows were following an indicator line, which is a very dark band. Or actually, this one was green slate, and it run. They usually run for kilometres or miles, whatever, and they're dead straight. They just do not deviate off their straightness, and they can be kilometres or miles down deep, and they just keep going. And where these things cross cut a quartz reef, there's massive enrichment of the gold there. So you've got to look out for these things. Um, and because all the old miners found out about them and went hard on all these indicator lines where they intersected quartz reefs and dug them up. And yeah, probably need a horse and cart to cart the gold away. But these guys found one and worked it from somehow got in underneath, and it was I think it might have been an old mine, but it was in the top section of the mine, so they went underneath and got it. And yeah, it was a lot of gold. Can't remember the names, too long ago, but they came from Eastern Victoria, so there is mention of it in the records, but you'd have to dig to find it now. Um, I just can't think of the names. Now, if you want to know a real funny story about the Hand of Faith nugget, you know, a thing that was about that big back in 1980s, the fellow that found that, I was meant to meet him at the Denali Caravan Park that day. I'd previously organised it, and he didn't turn up. And I went asking around if anyone's seen Kevin. Kevin, anyone know Kevin? Oh, Kevin was out at Kingour or somewhere. So anyway, what happened? I drove to Kingour the next day looking for him, and I came across this area, and it had yellow and orange keep out tape between trees everywhere, and there was like keep out, warning, warning, do not enter, all the rest of it, all this like police tape. All the areas are taped off in triangles. And I go, what the hell? What's going on here? And I think from memory, this is a long time ago. I'm trying to remember. It had houses across the road, through the bushes there, and yeah, I said, oh well, people are looking. It's obviously they've pegged it or something. I'm not going in there. And so I drove around a little bit, and the whole area had all these peggings and tapes and stuff. And I said, don't know what's happened. So anyway, obviously it became self-evident what happened. And as far as I remember how the story went, there was something about uh, I think from memory, I think he had a bike shop or something, or in Bendigo, and was living in a caravan, and the nugget was hidden under a baby's bath or something in a caravan. This might be totally wrong, but I've heard few versions of this. It might be wrong, but it's very entertaining. Uh, and what happened? He gave, I think, did he give it to his brother-in-law or something to look after? Someone took looking after it or whatever, and he went down to Warrnambool or something to escape the media and everything about it, or something or other like that. It sounds weird, doesn't it? You know? But anyway, a long time ago, and Yeah, that's why the area was all taped off, because no matter what you keep quiet about something, the word just got out, and that's what happened. It just went ballistic, and that then caused another rush of Melbourneites all into the goldfields again with their little um, VLF detectors that only go down that far. But the thing was that nugget, where it was found, and what I was told a while later, is that the whole area had been surfaced down to a level of red clay. And the old timers, old prospectors, had gone and scooped everything off the level of this clay layer. And that's the gold settles on the clay, it won't go down. Ha 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 ha. So people think. But that hand of faith thing, it went down like this, and it just went through the clay. And yeah, it was only it wasn't that far under the top of it, wasn't far under the top of the clay. And story goes, oh, what's that? Beep beep, and dug it out. And there's a big look. It's getting so old that because I haven't repeated it for so long that I'm starting to sort of forget parts of it. But it was along the lines of poor Kevin was so stuffed by the time he got it out, he had to sort of drag it and push it along the ground or something, and rolled it into the back of the door of the car and whatever. I don't know. Maybe other people have told me that part and it's exaggerated. I don't know, but maybe there's a proper record of the actual event somewhere. But it'd be very, very interesting to find something that was 800 ounces. So, oh dear me. Okay, what do we got here? On? I'm not keeping up with this. Okay, where are we going? These have been scrolling while I've been yabbering. Um, I hate the battery on the 6. Yes. Uh, yeah, a lot of people don't like it, but it serves a purpose. Um, yeah, I said about the extreme. Yeah, yeah, yep, yep, yep. Yes, the scene. Yes, Darren, 100%. Um, hello, Rocky Mountain prospector, Brad Hayden. Hello, everybody. G'day. How's that? How Australian? G'day. Or g'day, mate. How's it going? Um, dear me. Good. 10 cents it's high. Rocky, of course. It's, yeah, okay. Yeah, you'll say hello to each other. Uh, uh, Prickly Prospector, you asked a very, very good question. So, how does the chip perform? Any addition to detection, or just a marketing attempt to maintain a monopoly? What do you think? I'll tell you what, if they portray that it does something and I say, "No, it doesn't," I could I c you know, in my opinion, I could end up with a big legal bill of trying to, fight the Goliath, if you know what I mean. Uh, yeah, you gotta be careful what you say. They don't like it if you state something, and it's not to their liking. So it has to be an opinion, just a personal opinion. You can't say, look, even if I know damn right 100%, and I put my hand on 10,000 Bibles and swear that it's absolutely God's honest truth, I can't say that, right? Because God won't protect me for some reason. And I'll get hauled through the financial coals of hell trying to justify my statement. So, my opinion, everyone's just my opinion. Um, yeah, Don't get too pissed. No, I've only had one drink, so I'm not going to get too pissed. I do recall saying me and myself, and I was meant to say David and myself. So yeah, I'm still with it. Uh, I wish I'd known then. Yeah. Um, there's you the amount of gold that's been found in areas. How'd you like to be over in a Sudan when they found gold in the desert? A few years back. My God, so and I watched them chopping up big pieces of gold like that with rocks and bricks, breaking it into equal components for the guys who found it, stuff like that. It's all like there's heaps of videos like that out there. Getting a little bit old now, so it might be hard to find. But yeah, look, I could tell you stories. I know a guy who got a detector done by me. He went over to the Sudan, right? This let's say it. This white guy went over to the Sudan Gold Rush. I know a couple of people that did, and I should say that's taking a risk. Um, they went over there, getting dry, with metal detectors, and one of them. I'm gonna tell you this story is sad to a degree. It's it's funny, but it's sad. One of the fellas over there bought a Volkswagen Beetle, a Volkswagen, because it would didn't need water in the radiator, and you could drive it sort of in those areas. And he found a heap of gold, and what he did, he stashed the gold inside the car, like maybe you know in the middle of the doors or something. Well, I don't know what he did, but he stashed the gold in the car, like maybe under the seats or whatever else he did, all through the car. So um, he was going to get the car back to Australia. Anyway, what actually happened? I get this phone call. This is months later. I get this phone call, and do you know anybody in Egypt? And I went, no, I don't. Why? He goes, because I've had my car impounded right at the border crossing into Egypt. And he was making his way to Egypt. I think I don't know where he was heading, somewhere up north or something. He's probably trying to get to Spain or somewhere, um, and somehow head back and get it transported back. And whatever the story was, I never got another phone call about it. The car was impounded in Spain, and there was some years and years later that I caught up with the fellow again. He actually wanted another detector modified, and basically, yeah, he couldn't get it. It was confiscated, and the car was still over there. So maybe there's some wealthy Egyptian security guys there. I don't know. But like I say, there's a lot of stories in the gold industry. Tons of it. Get told of tons of weird stories, um, like big gold nuggets disappearing out of museums and stuff like that. People have told me stories about that. Not that they were involved, but what they suspect actually happened through people they know. I think it's just amazing. Anyway, um, here we are. What's this? We could, yeah, okay. You got a gold monster 1000 and a simplex. I'm trying to save up for a 6000. Yeah, I'm here in the States. Well, if a name like Rocky Mountain Prospector, yeah, I think that you're in the States. Um, dear me. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I want to see how good this Chinese detector is, which they tell me will be 3,000 US dollars. That GDX thing, I probably shouldn't have done a video on, but oh dear. Um, yeah. Uh, Ben Winter used a number 8 fencing wire to detect fault lines in Northern Territory. Ah, good job. Dave Corman. That is how Croydon got started. Yeah, okay. Um, oh, his son, Woody. His son. Oh, whose son? I don't know. That gave ask his son. Yeah, ask his son. Find out. Um, I think you're probably talking about what I was saying about the hand of faith. Is it? Yep. Had supposed government journalists on Block NT never told me was hunting pigs. I've done that in New South Wales, and then heard this tippy tap on the hill or block, and ah, went up, met a supposed government geo and offsider. Sinister. Yeah. I found 28 gram last week at 10 centimeters. Amazing how shallow gold can go undiscovered. Yep. Um, yeah, I went to come and detect over there. Dad's from Melbourne. Oh, okay. Married my mum and moved over to the States, but I want to come and see Australia. Um, good work, Darren. That's from Chucks. Prickly Prospector will happily back you as a Z user. Um, opinion was all anyone was looking for. An opinion, yeah, okay. Tony, you can probably all read. I've got to read these for myself, so I'm not missing anything. Gold in Sudan pop song. Uh, yes. Um, Floor of the Bug. Swap the Ducati for a VW. You will burn in hell. Okay. Getting down to the end of it here. Internet Chinese one. You think it will be comparable to the 6,000? I have no idea. But I've only been told by someone that saw it when it was being built, and it was just basically two parts of it in suitcase getting built. That's the way it was done. As a secret project, it's not so secret anymore. Uh, damn. Will it be comparable? I don't know. It might be comparable to a 7. It might exceed a 6,000. It might be worse. I don't know. Um, what's the ETA? Someone did ask that, and they told me they spoke to the Chinese and they said January, February. Um, yeah, so yeah, that's that. God, this makes your skin look. I'm not this white, am I? My God, I look like a freaking ghost. I think it's just a massive reflection off this and the light bouncing around. I mean, my skin doesn't like glow like that. I'm looking at my arm. It's got a tinge. It's a tinge of like brown, and it's like ghostly white. Like, I've got no blood or something. God, I've irradiated myself being too close to the detection coils. Oh dear, no one's hands that white. Come on, Jesus. How do I fix that? I don't know. I got a Mac, so I don't know how to fix that. Um, my son insisted I use a Mac for everything. iPhones and iPads and that. When I was a Windows person, everything was IBM. And yeah, throw me in the deep end. Because I've never sat down to work it all out. Yeah. Okay. Woody, my mate, found a 10-ounce nugget a few years back with a GPX Extreme. He loved that machine. Yeah. If you want to know about the GP Extreme, actually, I will mention the person who did tell me about the GP Extreme. This is back. It's not anything said about the current detectors, but you probably all know the name Jonathan Porter, who used to do a lot of videos, all with the MindLab machines. I don't know if he still does them. He probably does. I don't know. I don't know if he's affiliated with MindLab or still, but yeah, he found a big piece of gold somewhere in Queensland with a GP, and he said that's the deepest detector, but he only said it to me. Maybe he doesn't want me telling everybody. Sorry, Jonathan, but maybe he was fibbing to me. That's probably the way to say it. He's probably telling me a fib or a bit of a joke. But no, I think from what I know, he's probably on the money. But does it compare favourably with the newer detectors? I don't know. Most of it's to do with the coil. So, and lumpy dumpy timings, not these little tiny glitchy timings in the detectors that obviously enhance the repetition rate. So you get more samples on small gold, so you can actually hear them better. the more samples you get in a given time period, the more you're going to be able to hear the target and get rid of all the noise. Um, but longer timings, more energy into the big things deep, and you will get a improvement. Yeah. Don't you wish you had all the timings all at once and they're happening really fast? You can't do it. You got a set time window, so you can't do that. Dear me. Ah, dear me. I need another drink. No, they'll go pear shaped if I have too much. Um, where are we? What's yeah? Okay. Hit the thumbs up, everybody. Yeah. Okay. Hey, how about subscribing? Isn't that the big thing people say? Oh, please subscribe, subscribe. Because a lot of people don't. They just sort of come across these, and because they watch one, it pops up again. But yeah, um, yeah, yes, well said. Lol. Uh, cheers. Yeah, I'm already subscribed. Yes, I subscribe to a heap of these gold channels because at night I'll sit down and watch what everyone's doing, and it's really interesting. If you don't watch the videos, you just miss out on stuff. You don't even know stuff exists. There's tons of stuff. You know, out there, there's lots of people running around and doing weird stuff. Yeah, I'm not going to talk too much because I've said it in other videos about people doing weird stuff and you know um, trying to copy stuff and that. It's funny. Um, like I was making up some little inductive coils, and I bought these things from China. And I'll stick it in front of my face so you can see it. There you go. It's these ferrite things, and if you read up on it, it's meant to work where I was basically detector frequencies, switching rates, and I made up some inductors using these. Freaking hell! uh, it might as well be a piece of iron, but they use these in those. What are they? Um, God, you put them on cattle and you monitor them and stuff, like little transponder things. So yeah, you got to be careful what you buy. Uh, yeah, uh, problem with the headphone jack on the Elgo. Don't mention Elgo Force to me. Okay, I was told some funny stuff about the Elgo Force. I was told it was developed and it was invented by Chinese speaking people, and they wouldn't answer the telephone because they might sound like Australian people. Might, I don't know. Anyway, there was so much. Um, I'm going to be polite. There was so much misdirection. I don't even want to talk about it. Okay, it was total misdirection. Like you can't get one, and I had one the next day. That's really funny. Yeah, oh, sorry, it's none around. Oh yeah, really? Oh, yeah, one got delivered to the doorstep. So yeah, I had a good look at it. Anyway, um, so yeah, on that detector, read the forums. I'm not making comment on it. Um, there's one for sale on Marketplace on Facebook. Actually, if you want to go have a look there right now, I saw it there this morning. Um, do you think they'll make another coil to go deeper for the SDC than the current ones they have? Um, Years ago, I had a fellow sent me a SDC 2300, and I stuck a 12-inch nugget finder advantage on it for him. There's tricks to do it with um, an extra wire you got to run down, but yeah, it works fine. And he was telling me that I don't know if he still watches, or if he does watch, he can make comment. He was up in Queensland, and he said he was getting gold under sand. So obviously there was a sand drift or sand got in an area, and it was so much sand, and the gold was underneath it, and he needed more punch because the gold was small. And we put the 12-inch nugget finder uh, on that detector, and he told me it worked really good. He was getting the gold down deeper through the sand. So a lot of it's coil. You know, you make a detector and you say, well, this detector is designed for very small gold, and it clocks really really fast. It's got lots of short sharp pulses, all the rest of it, and you put a coil on it like that big or whatever, and it's going to work really good on small gold. You don't want to get a coil that big and say, well, I'm going to use it on small gold. It's just not going to do the same thing. You just don't have that intensity directly over your little tiny targets to energize them enough to get the signal back. It's too spread out and diffused, so it's not going to work. Works great on big stuff that's down there that'll take all that energy because it's more around the place and it's not so central. So there's a lot of stuff to learn about detectors. Like there was no book or education. You could not go to university and say, I want to learn about metal detectors. There was nothing around years ago. You have to be self-taught on the subject. It's just like a black art. Um, the first time I ever started mucking around with the detectors, I probably blew up as many as what I fixed because there was no manual at all, and there's no you couldn't get a schematic. My God, that was the last thing you'd get. But nowadays, because you just educate yourself over and over, and a lot of it's trial and error, and you know, you do general electronics. I mean, my background's RF work, microwave, radio, satellite communication. I can make yourself, it'll make anybody microwave transmitters and microwave receivers and, all that very high frequency type stuff. And, you know, I helped design stud finders when they first came out, 1980, around that time. Um, yeah, made the first stud finders, very simple capacitive things, with a 40106 chip in it from memory, and then redeveloped it later on, putting in AC detection, which is the coil of wire, and what else we put on it? We put something else on it. Oh, metal detector. Worked that one out. Um, so yeah, did that. Worked on making little transmitters for trucks on the car tires. Um, our big trucking, um, fleet owner here, Lindsay Fox. Good day, Lindsay. If you're out there, that probably doesn't do detecting. He's probably resting down at Portsea where he lives. Um, he got involved, and yeah, I'll put it mildly, it went pear shaped. uh, but yeah, not going to say too much. Might have ramifications. But yeah, we did all that sort of radio stuff. That was on 318 megahertz or something, using saw resonators. Oh dear. But yeah, if a truck tire would deflated, it sent off a alarm in the cabin, and the guy would walk around with a little tiny dipole antenna and walk up to whatever tire was beeping and yeah, replace it. So yeah, all good. Oh God, here we go. Um, there's tons of little messages coming through. So where are we? Uh, yep. Dave Sodden. I hope it's Sodden, not Soden. I don't know. Come across the problem with headphone jack. Oh, yeah, that's what you said about that thing. Yeah, I didn't want to talk about that too much. Okay, cool. We go deeper. Yeah, you've been there. Sorry, I just got to. Yep. Ah, Melbourne subtropic fruits. Isn't it dinner time? Uh, it is actually. You're quite right. I've actually cooked up a piece of beef about that big, just been chopped into cubes. It's been cooking all day. I'm going to make a korma curry out of it. Um, well, it probably is a korma curry already, but yeah, I've got to go and check on that. It's sitting out in the kitchen on low. Uh, anyway, yeah, I do a lot of cooking, by the way. I do a lot of things. You wouldn't believe the stuff I've done. I used to have a company. Um, I used to look after all the state government fire alarm systems in police stations, courthouses, schools, and all sorts of government facilities. Um, I'll tell you, I used to do all the mental institutions and places like that. Oh dear me, the stories I could tell you. Um, yeah, the stories. I could write books and books on some of the stuff that's happened. Some of it is, some of it's terrifying, and some of it is absolutely dead set dangerous. I went to a place that was, we'll call it totally a secure facility for people that walked around like this, if you get my drift. Um, and you weren't allowed to take in any sharp objects or anything like that. You're just not allowed to. And I've gone in there and I've gone to repair a fire alarm on the ceiling. So I've got a ladder, right? And I've gone up and I needed a screwdriver, right? I've got a screwdriver in my back pocket. And I got up the top and I reached for the screwdriver in my back pocket and it wasn't there no more. And I looked down and one of the residents is a good word I'll use. One of the residents had my screwdriver, right? And it was pretty long and pointy, and all hell broke out because of that. That was very, very embarrassing for all involved, but I couldn't undo the screws on the thing to replace it without it. Then um, he was steered away and wrestled to get the screwdriver off him before he stabbed somebody. And I got the screwdriver back, and I had the white coat standing at the bottom where I was to make sure that I could do the job, and the rest of them hadn't cottoned on to sharp object or anything. And, and I'm putting it pretty simply, but I'm just saying that's the basic facts of the matter. And I got up there, I'd undone it, and I replaced it and put another smoke sensor up there, or was it a thermal? Can't remember. And they're all watching me. And I finished. I got down, and I'm not joking, right? They've all cottoned on to this smoke detector or thermal detector, whatever it was at the time. I can't even remember what it was. I think it might have been a thermal detector. They cottoned on that if you mucked around with this thing, it brought the fire brigade. And it was there. It was now a collective mission of these residents to smash in that detector and get the fire brigade out. And eventually we had to go and replace it and put a little cage around it. Yeah, so anyway, the fun and games of it all. Anyway, I won't go into that, but yeah, I had to stop doing the government work. I had this letter uh, come in the mail, and it was because the state government, right, bankrupted the state. This is the Labor government, right? Kane and Kerner, I remember this. I had this letter come from, what was the department called? Health and General, it was called, Health and General at Treasury Place. A letter came and it said, no jobs over the value of $20 are allowed to be done without prior authorization. I said, well, that's the end of that business. Because we used to charge, back then, we used to charge, got $150 just for a call out after hours. And I said, well, you can go and look after all your own fires. He says, I'm not going out there for $20 and you won't authorize it. So yeah, fun times, fun times. So yeah, I've done a lot of electronic stuff over the years, and yeah, and circumstances change, and you got to close. Sometimes you've got to close a business down and get out of it because of technology changes, and everything becomes a throwaway. You know, there's times there that um, I remember I had a good little sideline fixing people's video recorders because they just get damp and the tape used to wrap around their heads and stuff like that, clean the heads and put new belts in them and all that. Freaking, that's gone. Um, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, there's tons and tons. Some of it I can't even repeat. Um, yeah, Um, so, DIY project with Chuck's. Yeah, I was a radio technician in the military. Um, yeah, rainbow cables. Uh, yeah. Well, I used to do a lot of. Oh dear. I used to do. Um, I used to make up little devices for the spooks to eavesdrop on people at one stage. That was interesting. Um, yeah, that we made um, very narrow voice band filters, high gain microphones, and little transmitters and stuff like that. Um, video. I was involved with a company doing video surveillance equipment, making up little half watt, 2.5 gigahertz um, camera spy stuff for. I can't mention it because it's, you know they still use it. So, you know, oh dear. Um, made transmitters up for high quality vision for helicopters doing motorcycle races and stuff like that. When we had poor old Les Jenkins hanging out at the helicopter, tied on with one leg, holding big, long, circular polarized antennas trying to get a TV signal. Really stupid stuff. You wouldn't do it now. The health and occupational safety people would be onto you real quick. But yeah, done a lot of weird stuff. One day I might write a book. Everyone says, "I'll write a book about that." I go, I can't. Some of the stuff I just can't. Some of it involves government authorities. Some of them you're not really, that, not to disclose it. Um, yeah, 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 without charging. Yeah, he means me, Mister Subtrop. There, he says, yeah, me not recharging. Okay, went through the old abandoned leper farm in Northern Territory. Um, yeah. Sad place in a way. Oh god, what a yeah. Look, I used to do these places, all around Parkville, near Melbourne, and mm, uh, some of it I just can't. They put. I don't know if I can even disclose it because I think I'm not allowed to. I shouldn't. I shouldn't. Uh, but I shouldn't. I could tell you some funny stuff though. I really could. Um, uh, some I'd love to, but I don't think I should. Some of it is just bizarre. What I've seen people do is really, really bizarre. Uh, but I'll tell you a funny one, right? I will tell you one funny one. This is funny. Okay, we're at this place. I think it was called Mont Park, and Mont Park was for people that had, a bit of, sort of, bit of illness. We'll call it that. And we're sitting near the administration block, me and a fellow called Norm Smith. Uh, um, and we're sitting there. We got early breakfast. We're sitting there eating breakfast. And this woman comes up and taps on Norm's side of the car in this old Ford panel van. Um, tap, 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 tap. And in very normal voice goes, "Hi, look, can you do me a favour? I've left my keys at the milk bar down the road." And we go, "Oh, I suppose we've got 15 minutes or so." So Norm goes, "Hop in." So this woman hops in, right? And we go roundabout out the front of the admin, right? Drive back out of the place, which is a really huge, long driveway with all sorts of staff housing and that. So no one can walk down there. You're going to get grabbed. But we're in the work van. We're driving down, and we took her down there, right, and dropped her at the milk bar at the little corner shop. And she got out of the out of the vehicle, and she didn't go into the shop. She ran like hell round the corner and kept going. And I said, "Norm, Norm, it wasn't a normal person." And he's gone, "Oh no!" And we've realised it was one of the ones that was meant to be in there, and we've got to let him escape. So we had to go back and tell them, and they sent out this massive search party because this woman was considered dangerous, right? So anyway, no names given, but it was amazing, amazing. Yeah. Okay, I don't want to go too much into that stuff, but the Chinese are bringing out a 9800 doesn't mean MindLab will release their updated version of the 7000. Hmm. That's a good question. Let's think about it. Let's call it. We'll call it gameplay. If MindLab are intent, just say this. This is my opinion. Okay. You want to say a joke about a penguin, but for another day. Sure. Uh, um, I can tell you a joke about a penguin, right? Uh, this is to do with Japanese. It's quick, so I'll just do it before I tell you about 7000. We met some Japanese people down on the peninsula, and on the peninsula there's penguin parades, right? And the sign said penguin parades at dusk, DUSK. And there's these Japanese people, right? And they got a paper map out in the car, on the front of the car, looking at the paper map, and they're all over it looking. And one of the guys comes over to me. He goes in pretty Japanesey English, but I got the gist of it. He said, "Can you tell me where dusk is?" And I said, "No, it's not dusk. There's no place called dusk. That's the time between sunset and night when the penguins come out." So yeah, it cracked me up. So I had to explain to him that it was a terminology that it meant, just that time period when the sun goes down. It's called dusk. So he thought it was a place. So yeah, penguins at dusk. Anyway, quite funny. 7000. What would the gameplay be? Now you think about this. Say if MindLab were going to, my opinion, MindLab, my opinion, not true, my opinion, speculation. Um, that if MindLab were going to release a new detector, right, and they knew that the Chinese were going to release something similar or equivalent or whatever it is, I don't know. My opinion. I don't know what it's going to do. I don't know how it's going to work. I don't know. Um, think about it. What would you do from the marketing perspective? Would you release a new detector hoping it's going to be so good and then allow it to possibly be clobbered by something else coming onto the market that's better? Would you try and hit the market as hard and fast as you can without the whole universe being told that there is a new detector coming out? Because people will wait for it to see what it is. That is what will happen. They won't go and buy it just in case the one coming out is going to be better, and then that will just devalue like crazy. So you get whacked with devaluation, and then you want that one. It's arbitrage and losing money there. What do you do? What do you do? Do you just hit the market and say, "Bloody hell, I hope it's better. It should be better," but you don't know. And then on top of that, you've got Turkish company bringing out two pulse induction detectors, and specifically, I actually contacted them. They told me they're not going to put a date on it when they're going to release it, but it's the two of them are coming. So, how good are those compared to what anyone else releases? Uh, do they release that? No one buys it because they're waiting for the new Mind Lab, or waiting to see how the Chinese one is, or or waiting for something else, um, or you just bite the bullet on the first one it shows and say, "Well, I'll get that," and then kick yourself later. I don't know. From a marketing point of view, um, you know, you got to be careful because when you release your product, everyone knows its capabilities of what it does. So that might cause the others to hold off on their release and then do a bit more um, pre-production work to make sure it's better and then release it, and then that gets you know what's going to happen, don't you? That uh, you know no one company out there owns the best technology. It's very open slather nowadays. Um, there's lots of different ways of doing things. I know many different ways of doing stuff that's not even done, and some of it I would say would work better than what's out there at the moment. Uh, and you know, you give it away. I don't know. Give it away. Let them all do it. But you know, maybe the Turkish come out with a really good cheap detector, because I saw a video about it, and the woman who does their marketing said basically they are attacking the high end of the market with a low priced detector. Uh, work that out as you will. What does that mean? You would imagine, this is speculation, and in my opinion, just say this happens. Say there's a new detector comes out, right? And obviously, it's going to be, in my opinion, it's going to be more expensive because you milk the market for what you can, right? So the detector might be $14,000 or more, or whatever, and it might have the biggest song and dance about it ever. Who knows? I don't know. I'm just mucking around, speculating, right? You don't know who's going to bring this detector out. It could be anybody, and they bring it, they, them, him, whatever, bring out this detector, right? And it's got this massively expensive price tag on it. And the Turkish bring one out for $1,500, and it does exactly the same as what the other one does. Could you imagine the ramifications? What would go through the detecting community? For a start, um, people would scream, and it would be massively detrimental to whoever brought that first one out at an expensive price, if the other ones did the same job and worked better. Uh, you work it out. You work it out. Uh, but that's why normally I won't run out and buy a detector. Like I said, in the early days, I did buy a 7000. I kept it for a week. I got rid of it. I didn't like it. I just did not like it. It was a boat anchor of a thing. Sorry, it's my opinion, but it was. But now I've got another one because I have to, because people want me to develop special coils for them. So I have to have it. And also, I've had enough sixes come through, so I didn't have to buy a 6000 to make things for them. But maybe I have to buy a six as well. But maybe I have to buy a couple of Turkish detectors, a Chinese detector, and whatever Mind Lab pop out as well. I don't know, but it's just you know um, I don't know, luck of the draw. What happens? It's not a big thing as far as I'm concerned. With all the older GPX detectors, uh, they are absolutely working fantastic. They really are. Look, look at my videos. I'm not going to say it because then you're going to justify what you say, but just look at the videos. Sweep, 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 beep, beep. Got that? Didn't get that? Whatever. And to people who keep saying, that air tests mean nothing, please don't say air tests mean nothing, because if there was never an air test ever done to work something out, there would be no detectors. We don't build detectors and design them sitting in the dirt, right? They're made in workshops and laboratories. That's where they are developed, and normally that doesn't include a gold field sitting on the bench. Um, it freaking peeves me off. You have to do your R&D work on a workbench with test equipment and have it set up that you can make comparison measurements. You can't say, well, this one picks up here and the other. God, this is disconcerting with the mirror imaging on this screen. I go to lift one hand, the other one goes up. It's weird. But you know what I mean? You improve something and then you say, oh, that's better. And then everyone goes, oh, bloody air test means nothing. Well, then you take that performance difference, you take the two units and then you go and do it out in the field. And then you got people saying, oh, it's got to be an undug target. Really? No, it doesn't. It does not. Do you think all targets from the day dot were all undug? They were sitting there, got covered up with dirt. But if you want to get pedantic, put down a little tiny 20 millimeter core drill, right? Drop something down there. So you got to remember, the metal detector doesn't go freaking, beam me up, Scotty type thing. It sends out a field for all the dirt. So this little tube of dirt might be 2% or less of the dirt mass that's undisturbed, right? And then you can get your basic undug target signal. Then you can say, oh, but what about the halo effect? Okay, really. Throw some freaking iron filings down with it. Whatever. It's just bloody BS. It really is BS, and it pisses me right off that people keep harping on it's not done out in the field. It freaking gets done out in the field eventually, and people use it out in the field. And I guarantee you, they're finding those undug targets that everyone else has walked over, right? Because they're undug. That's why they're finding them. So yeah, someone says you are correct. Of course, I'm correct. It's bloody obvious. It's logical. What's the word of today? Word of today is ratiocinate. There's a word for you. Ratiocinate. Um, Basically, come to a logical conclusion by the use of logical deduction. Okay, so yes, that's been ratiocinated, and yes, funny. But anyway, um, I don't do that. That would leave that to one of our ex prime ministers that used to do that. Paul Keating used to do that. Used to use big words and upset the Malaysians when he called them recalcitrant. But that's funny stuff. Anyway, I better go and have dinner because it's 7:30 in the evening, and yeah, and I'll also be accused of being unsociable. And yeah, I want another drink. I've had one for all that time period. Has it got a little thing on here tells you how long I've been waffling for? Uh, oh, 1 hour and 24 minutes. That's ridiculous. I don't try and go over an hour. So that's a big one. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed that waffle. If you have any specific questions, um, email them to us. Go on the website and email them in, detectormods.com. Just email them because sometimes on this stuff, if someone says something, right, and I answer it, and then there's another question tagged off, I don't see it unless I have to go through the whole lot to find it. And it's really tedious. So, yeah, uh, just got here. We'll rewatch. Yeah, I'm going to rewatch it either. See if I made a complete goose out of myself and said something stupid. But yeah, I thought about setting up another channel and just put life stories on it, all sorts of stuff. It'd be unbelievable. Some of it you wouldn't even believe, but it's all 100% real. Um, a lot of it involves all sorts, all sorts of stuff. Um, yeah, some of it's really curly, but I don't know if I should. People I've known. Uh, when one of your friend's sons says, "Come and meet my mate," who happens to be one of the most wanted criminals in Australia, and you're sitting in the lounge room with him, and you're going, "God, this guy looks familiar." Oh no, it's that dude who broke out of jail and the cops are chasing. I'm not joking. Stuff like that used to happen, and you know, what about another time? Oh, a guy come guy came down from Sydney, and he'd gone and visited a motorcycle club up at Albury, and he comes down and he goes, "Oh, check out what I got off the bikies," and he's got his bag and he drops it there, and it's I'm not joking, it's like half a kilo full of bloody methamphetamine, like speed, and I went, "Get that out of here! Get it out of here! Go, move! I never want to see that ever again. Don't do stuff like that." I mean, really, that would have been worth a lot of money. Um, that's years and years and years ago. But God, these people you just don't want in your life. Um, it's crazy. Some of the people that used to be in the area where I used to live, just down the road, unbelievable. You would never walk there by yourself at night. Unbelievable, unreal. But yeah, all this weird stuff used to occur. Um, when are you and David releasing your own detector? Um, I've got a detector in my drawer. Uh, well, this is a spare part of it. It's all hanging off an SD. Um, that was a complete controller of a detector. It was just a Uno board. Jason programmed that up for me. It's my other son, who's over in China at the moment. Probably giving all the metal detector companies over there a shock. But an Arduino thing. Yeah, built all the timing and a little bit of extension electronics to control all the timing. And yes, you can make your own detector, um, but you really need to uh, team up with people to do it. Uh, you really want someone who's into plastics and ergonomic design stuff like that. Someone's into fiberglass, this, that, and the other. Someone's into um, you know battery technology, someone who does this, someone who does that. You can do it all yourself, but you're going to come up with something. It's just not going to cut the mustard. It will work. You're better off modifying what's out there because you got to remember, and this is my opinion, right? My opinion that everything's made to a price, no matter what the end price is. It's made to a price, and the aim of the game is maximum profitability for what it is. So even though a lot of these companies do use very high quality componentry, there's always new stuff coming out from companies uh, that turn up on the market, and also other stuff that people just don't know about, don't realise, have never gone down that path, haven't discovered, uh, and just don't have that very very basic critical understanding of what is needed to make a very, very, very good unit. I mean, they know how to make a good unit. I mean, you know, you could go and buy sausages at Safeway or something, right? But if you went and got the gourmet ones, they're a lot better. Yes, the people who make the sausages know how to make sausages. It's just different types. It's look at the same with metal detectors. You can say, well, it's made. mass produced in a particular way. And if you do this or do that, you can skew it to work better in this way or that way, or you put all that in there and it works across the whole lot. Um, yeah, so yeah. Oh dear. Um, yeah, very jealous that you guys could just walk out your back doors and onto goldfields. True. I expect when I was living just up the road here, when I first come to Ballarat, I was right next to the Canadian area where there was a lot of diggings and that, and the driveway was crushed quartz from it'd been there for ages, I suppose. And I remember after a storm, I think I mentioned this in another video, that storm come through, a lot of water and stuff and whatever, and little bits of flood. And I walked out and I could just see it, bit of gold glinting out of the driveway at me, and went and picked it up. So yeah, that's living on a goldfield. Where I am here, I'm right on the high ground of where um, the Canadian, well, basically where all the Eureka diggings are. Um, all that massive alluvial is here. Now, of course, lack of forethought and foresight. Uh, years and years ago, they went and stuck houses all over it. But occasionally the roads cave in here. I need to go whoop because it's the road's been built on old miners' holes. It's full of loose dirt, and it just gives up the ghost and caves in. And in the middle of the road, you'll see a miner's hole just turn up. The council have to come and fill it in and retar it on top. But that's a common occurrence. A lot of the sports grounds here are where big mines were, and there was one of the sports grounds here, one of the football grounds. The whole middle part completely caved in, as in, if you were standing there, you would have gone down probably 500 feet or something like that. You would have gone straight down, and that had to be fixed up as well. There's my brain saying, "No, don't fill it in. Leave it there. Let's go down there and have a look." That's the way I think. Don't fill it in. I want to go down there. There's there's absolutely hundreds of kilometres of tunnels down there. Um, some of them are probably waterlogged, some are probably not. But I love that sort of stuff. I used to know a guy who used to work as an old miner. Like, just look, he had a big beard and he looked old, and he used to sit in the tent at Sovereign Hill. And that's that place. It's a recreation of a 1850s gold town. It's really authentic. Come here to Ballarat and go there and have a look. It's really good. Look it up, Sovereign Hill. Um, and he worked there, but he was an abseiler, and he used to take me down the mines. This is years ago, and we used to go down the rope to the bottom of the mines, and I used to see quartz runs through going down the mines in the walls, and I used to always take my little Goldmaster detector and go over everything as I went down, and every so often you get whoop 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 whoop, and you chisel it out, and by the time you got it out, you had no energy left in your hands to haul yourself back up the rope. So that was all fun. Nearly had cave-ins too, taking people underground at Creswood with me, and where the old rivers were, you can see the stonework on the top. They old guys used to leave pillars like this, so the roof didn't cave in. And I'm down this shaft. I hear this tap 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 behind me, and I came back down to see what the guy was doing. And he's chiseling out the middle part of the column because that's where the gold was. Yeah, don't do that, you idiot. Um, but all this sort of weird stuff that's happened over the years. Anyway, that's been ages doing this. I better get off. So yeah, I'm going to go and have some more vodkas and coke. Yes, Tony. Yeah, all good. Woody. Yes, it is all good. Yes, yes, we can walk out into the goldfields out our back doors, more or less. When you improve the distance on air test, it's pretty logical. It'll benefit the distance in the field. Yeah, it is. It is logical that it will do that because it has that capability. But how the detector handles the mineralization around that is the question. But that's why usually I get a hot rock and Yeah, it's total ridiculous using the particular hot rock. Um, the ground isn't that hot as a hot rock. That's overkill. But the Denali dirt I have here, if I have, if I can stack up 4 tubs of that, as deep as you're ever going to go, it's just the way the field works through the coil. Use say an 8-inch coil, so you're not getting much leakage, but still going through the dirt. And you put your target in, and if you get 2 detectors, and you say this one's got this modification, this one hasn't, and you go over it, and you go, and the one that's modified goes beep beep beep, and the other one goes hoo ha, can't even hear it. Well, you know it's going to work out in the field. It's bloody obvious, you know. Uh, and then people will say stuff like, "Oh, but," you know, what if the dirt's different? Yeah, what is it? What if the dirt is different? Tell me about it. What, the unmodified detector is going to work differently because the dirt's different too? Think about it. Think about what you're saying, people. Some people, um, you know. Oh, sorry, I'm just going to pull strange faces because it defies logic. What is being said, there's no logical basis for it. Um, I don't know. Mm, you know, guys, there's absolutely, I'll tell you, over the years of doing detectors, right? I used to keep records in books, and I used to write the whole thing in 2 lines of these books, and the books are this big, right? Big books. I filled 4 of those books ages ago, and I mean, this is before we were doing it on computer. Jason wrote a program, obviously, because he's a really good programmer, for us to keep it all on digital record. We got it's really he writes really good programs, by the way. Um, so yeah, he did all that. That's years ago. I could reckon I could scroll that, and it would just be hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, if not into the thousands. I just don't keep up with it all. There's you know, I can work out roughly if I go back through all the componentry I bought through, say, Mouser, Arrow, DigiKey. I can probably look at all the particular components that I put in detectors and just look at the batches of the ones I use all the time and count those because there'll be 2 in every detector. And then I'll be able to work out how many detectors I've done. But there's a lot of new components I didn't have in the old days. So, like I say, there's absolutely thousands. We've done thousands. We have had detectors from all over the world come in, you know? Like, like I was saying on the other video, they came in from Middle East, Africa. Uh, we get them from the Ukraine. We get them from Russia as they come out through Belarus. Uh, we get all sorts of stuff from everywhere. We've done stuff for universities in Serbia, Croatia. We've done people who go looking for the old king's tombs over that way. There's a heap of this stuff goes on. Drag coils go over there. We do. Yeah, a lot of people don't want me to tell what we do, and especially the money they make out of it, because they don't want every Tom, Dick, and Harry doing it, uh, which is understandable. But there's a lot more to be made than looking for nuggets. Put it that way. And we just had uh, some who want some drag coils made. We'll say drag coils, but to go underwater, work out what that's for. Big ones through, um, you know, people with a lot of money to spend. So it's a heap of stuff we're involved in, and you just don't see it all because I can't go and show a lot of it. It's sort of I'm just set up here for workshop, I just doing the little electronic stuff, bits and pieces, making things, designing stuff and that, but it's all done elsewhere. Um, yeah. Anyway, I better go. This has been way too long. So I'll just have a quick look at the last comments. Window doors. Welding also. Welding. Oh, nothing in electronics. That's no good. Should do electronics. Electronics is easy. Treat electronics like plumbing. And you get the gist of it. With valves and pipe sizes and flow rates and pressure. You could explain electronics like that, and people will get the gist of it. Maybe I should do that one day, but I think there's plenty of other videos on YouTube you can learn that sort of stuff. Uh, Yep. See you later, Prospecting Vic. And to see you later, Woody, and everyone. Got to go. Got to go myself. God, I'm the last man standing. Catch us later, guys. Hope I can end the stream here. Where is it? There it is. Catch us.